Apparently, when your husband of 11 years suddenly develops an interest in proper recycling techniques, you're not witnessing personal growth. You're watching the opening act of a masterclass in stupidity. Let me set the scene. I'm Pearl, 37, and I've been an ER nurse at Abbott Northwestern in Minneapolis for the past 9 years. I've seen people do monumentally dumb things. Fireworks accidents. Hold my beer incidents. That guy who superglued his hand to his face on a dare. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the sheer audacity of watching my husband Graham, 39 years old and still learning basic life skills, become passionate about waste management. This is the same man who spent our entire marriage throwing beer cans into the compost bin. The same person who argued that garbage is garbage when I tried explaining recycling basics. For 11 years, he couldn't tell the difference between organic waste and aluminum if his life depended on it. Then suddenly, about 2 months ago in late April, Graham discovered environmental consciousness. Every single evening at exactly 6 o'clock, he'd grab the trash bags with this weird enthusiasm and announce, "I'll take care of the garbage, honey," like he was doing me some heroic favor. Now, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but I didn't become a nurse by ignoring symptoms. And this was a symptom of something. The first time I actually paid attention, I was coming home early from a shift. Rare for me because Abbott keeps us on 12-hour rotations. It was a Tuesday in late April, about 6:15 p.m. I turned onto our street just in time to see Graham at the dumpster area, chatting animatedly with our neighbor Fallon. Fallon, 34, blonde, divorced, lives 3 units down. The woman who somehow needed help with every household task known to mankind. Broken disposal? Better call Graham. Internet acting up? Graham knows computers. That time her car wouldn't start? Graham's got jumper cables. But here's the thing that really got me. She was walking a golden retriever. Fallon doesn't own a dog. She's allergic. I know this because she mentioned it at last year's HOA meeting when we discussed the pet policy updates. So there they were, my husband and the dog-borrowing neighbor, laughing at the recycling bins like they were watching a comedy special. And when Graham came home 20 minutes later, he didn't mention the encounter. Not a word. I'm a nurse. We're trained to notice patterns, and this was definitely a pattern forming. The next Tuesday, I paid attention again. 6 o'clock, Graham grabbed the trash. I watched from our second-floor bedroom window. Sure enough, Fallon appeared with that same golden retriever exactly 3 minutes later. They spent 15 minutes by the dumpsters. 15 minutes. To throw away garbage. Unless they were discussing the philosophical implications of single-stream recycling, something else was happening. Thursday came around. Same routine. Graham, trash, 6:00 p.m. sharp. Fallon, mystery dog, 6:03 p.m. Another 15-minute conversation about absolutely nothing, apparently. That weekend, I did what any rational woman would do. I went to Best Buy and dropped $1,200 on home security equipment. Solar panel outdoor lights with hidden cameras, motion sensor decorations for our little patio, and the pièce de résistance, a Ring doorbell that Graham himself installed 2 days later, thinking he was being a proactive husband about home security. "These cameras will keep us safe, babe," he told me, screwing the doorbell into our front frame. Oh, Graham. If you only knew. I spent the following week setting everything up properly. The solar lights covered our backyard fence line, the fence that separated our patio from Fallon's. The motion sensors caught the side pathway between our units. The Ring doorbell captured our front entrance and, conveniently, had a wide-angle view that included Fallon's front door. Once everything was operational, I started collecting evidence. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I worked my 12-hour shift at Abbott Northwestern. Every Tuesday and Thursday, my cameras worked their 12-hour shift at home. Week 1 of surveillance. Graham, helping Fallon fix her kitchen faucet. The repair took 90 minutes. He wore the shirt I bought him for our 10th anniversary. Week 2. Graham, picking up a package that was accidentally delivered to our place. Except the package was addressed to her, and he stayed inside her unit for 2 hours. Week 3. This is where it got bold. I watched on my phone from the hospital break room as Graham literally climbed over our shared fence at 2:30 p.m. Climbed. Over. The fence. The man who complains about taking the stairs. He scaled a 4-foot fence like he was training for American Ninja Warrior. By the end of week 6, early June, I had collected 9 videos, 9 separate incidents, all time-stamped, all dated, all crystal clear on my phone's app. The evidence was damning, but evidence without strategy is just sadness with receipts. I needed a plan, and that's when I remembered something crucial. Our condo complex holds mandatory quarterly assemblies, and Fallon? She wasn't just a neighbor. She was the president of the events committee, the woman who organized our building's social calendar, who planned the summer barbecue, who ran the quarterly meetings with her perfectly prepared PowerPoint presentations. The next assembly was scheduled for Saturday, June 8th. Fallon had already sent the email reminder, "Quarterly assembly, please attend. We'll review community updates and plan our summer festivities." She'd be presenting, with her laptop, controlling the projector, in front of all 73 families in our complex. And suddenly, I knew exactly what to do. But first, I needed access to something very specific. Friday, June 7th, 24 hours before the assembly. I had the evidence. I had the venue. Now I just needed the weapon. The weapon in this case was Fallon's own laptop. Here's what you need to understand about suburban condo politics. People like Fallon thrive on being helpful. They live for the moment someone needs something they can provide. It makes them feel important, necessary, irreplaceable. It's the same instinct that made her borrow a golden retriever she's supposedly allergic to, just to manufacture encounters with my husband. So Friday evening, while Graham was conveniently working late, his new favorite phrase, I made a phone call. "Fallon? Hi, it's Pearl from Unit 4B. Her voice came through all syrupy sweet. "Pearl, how are you, honey?" Honey. This woman called me honey while sleeping with my husband. The audacity could power a small city. "I'm good. Listen, weird question. Is your laptop working okay? Mine completely died this morning, and I have this whole presentation for the assembly tomorrow. The landscaping committee wants me to show photos of the proposed garden renovation near the mailboxes." Silence for exactly 2 seconds. Then, "Oh no, that's terrible timing." "I know, right? I was thinking maybe I could just load my photos onto a USB drive and use your laptop during the meeting. Would that be okay? I'd only need it for like 5 minutes max." I could practically hear her mental calculations. Say no and look unhelpful in front of the community? Or say yes and be the generous neighbor who saves the day? "Of course," she chirped. "That's totally fine. Just come a few minutes early and we'll get you all set up. I'll have everything ready to go. You're a lifesaver, Fallon. Seriously, thank you so much. Happy to help." I hung up and stared at my phone for a solid minute. Part of me, the part that still remembered our 5th anniversary trip to Duluth, the way Graham used to bring me coffee in bed on Sundays, felt something almost like sadness. Then I opened my camera app and watched the video from May 21st. Graham and Fallon on her patio, his hand on her lower back, both of them laughing at something. He was wearing my favorite blue shirt on him. The one I told him made his eyes look nice. The sadness evaporated, replaced by something much more useful: focus. I spent Friday night preparing my USB drive with the care of a surgeon prepping for a complex operation. Created a folder labeled Community Garden Project 2024. Inside that folder, 9 video files, each one renamed with an innocent-looking title. Mailbox Area View 1.mp4. Proposed Site Angle 2.mp4. Timeline Documentation 3.mp4. But here's the technical bit that would make everything work. I adjusted the folder's thumbnail view settings to extra large icons. When opened on any computer, the videos would display as preview thumbnails. Large, clear, unmistakable preview thumbnails showing the first frame of each video. The first frame of Mailbox Area View 1.mp4, Graham entering Fallon's front door. Date stamp, May 7th, 2:35 p.m. The first frame of Proposed Site Angle 2.mp4, Graham and Fallon in her kitchen. He's shirtless. Date stamp, May 14th, 2:20 p.m., and so on. I tested it 3 times on my own laptop to make sure the thumbnails would display exactly as planned. Perfect every time. Saturday morning, I woke up at 6. Graham was still asleep. He'd come home around midnight, and when I got close enough, I caught the scent of something sweet. Vanilla, maybe. Or some floral perfume that definitely wasn't mine. The kind of thing people burn in those trendy candles. Interesting, considering Fallon had posted about her favorite vanilla-scented candles in our building's Facebook group last month. But that was probably just coincidence. I got dressed with deliberate care. Nothing too fancy. Jeans, a casual blue sweater, sneakers. The kind of outfit that says, "I'm just here for a boring condo meeting," rather than, "I'm about to detonate your entire life in front of 73 families." Graham stumbled into the kitchen around 9. Morning. "What time's that building thing today?" 3 o'clock. "You're coming, right?" "It's mandatory." He poured coffee, not meeting my eyes. "Yeah, I'll be there. Probably should make an appearance." An appearance. Like he was doing the community a favor instead of facing the consequences of his choices. "Great," I said, smiling. "Fallon's presenting the summer events schedule. Should be interesting." His hand froze on the coffee pot for just a fraction of a second. "Oh, yeah, that's cool." I wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. Instead, I ate my cereal and checked my phone like everything was completely normal. At 2:45 p.m., I walked down to the community center, the ground floor space we used for meetings, parties, and apparently, public executions. The room was already filling up. Our complex took these assemblies seriously because they directly affected property values and community standards. Fallon was at the front, setting up her laptop and the projector. She looked polished in a white blouse and black pants, her blonde hair perfectly curled. Presidential. "Pearl!" She waved me over. "Come on up. Let me get your presentation loaded." I walked to the front, USB drive in hand. Around us, neighbors were filing in. The Johnsons from 2C with their twin boys. Margaret from 5A who never missed a meeting. The retired couple from 1F who'd lived here since the building opened in 2008. The young tech professionals from 3D who usually spent meetings on their phones. By 3:00 p.m., the room was packed. 73 families. Some had both spouses present. Some brought kids. The fire marshal probably would have had concerns about capacity, but that wasn't my problem today. Graham walked in at 3:02 p.m., spotted me at the front table, and gave a little wave before sitting in the middle section. Far enough back to seem casual. Close enough to escape easily if needed. Or so he thought. The meeting started with the usual tedium. Building maintenance updates, parking policy reminders, landscaping contract renewals. I sat at the front table, USB drive in my pocket, waiting. Fallon presented the budget report. She was good at this. Confident, organized, making eye contact with the crowd. Several people nodded along as she discussed reserve fund allocations. Then she got to her favorite part, the events calendar. "And now for the fun stuff." She clicked to a slide showing clip art of barbecues and fireworks. "Our summer schedule. We have the 4th of July picnic, the back-to-school pool party, and of course, our annual September barbecue competition." People perked up. The events were popular. Fallon knew how to throw a party. "But first," she continued, "I want to give the floor to Pearl, who's presenting the landscaping committee's proposal for our mailbox area renovation." "Pearl?" She smiled at me. Generous, helpful, presidential. I stood up, USB drive in hand, and walked to her laptop. The projector was already connected, the screen behind us showing her presentation. "Thanks, Fallon. This'll just take a minute." I plugged in the USB drive. Fallon stepped aside, still holding the microphone. The folder appeared on her desktop. Community Garden Project 2024. I double-clicked to open it. The screen behind us, all 120 inches of it, filled with a grid of 9 large thumbnail images. And suddenly, 73 families were looking at my husband's affair in high definition. There's a specific kind of silence that happens when 73 families simultaneously realize they're witnessing something catastrophic. It's not the absence of sound. There were still kids fidgeting, chairs creaking, someone's phone buzzing. But the quality of the air changes, becomes heavier, expectant. I stared at the screen like I was seeing these thumbnails for the first time. 9 large preview images arranged in a perfect grid, each one showing a crystal-clear moment, each one time-stamped, each one undeniable. "Oh," I said into the microphone Fallon had left on the podium. "That's weird. These aren't my files." I clicked on the first thumbnail. The video filled the screen. Graham, walking through Fallon's front door. The date stamp in the corner read, May 7th, 2:35 p.m. His anniversary shirt was visible even from the doorbell camera angle. Huh, I said, my voice perfectly steady. That's strange. Behind me, I heard Fallon make a small choking sound. I clicked the next thumbnail. Video 2 played automatically. Graham and Fallon in her kitchen. The angle suggested my backyard camera had a better view than I'd realized. He didn't have a shirt on. She was laughing at something he said. The date stamp, May 14th, 2:20 p.m. The timestamp also showed I was at work. My 12-hour shift. Saving actual lives while my husband was apparently losing his mind. I'm so sorry, I said to the room, not sorry at all. I must have grabbed the wrong USB drive. How embarrassing. I reached for the laptop like I was going to close it. Moved slowly enough that at least 20 people in that room had time to pull out their phones and start recording the screen. Margaret from 5A was definitely filming. So were the tech bros from 3D. The Johnsons' teenage son had his phone up faster than anyone. Wait! The voice came from the back. Bill Morrison from 6C, 72 years old, retired accountant, the man who ran our complex's finances with spreadsheet precision. What exactly are we looking at here? I think, I said carefully, these are security camera videos from around the complex, but I have no idea how they got on my USB drive. Fallon finally found her voice. Turn it off. Turn it off right now. She lunged for the laptop. I stepped aside smoothly. 12-hour ER shifts teach you to dodge fast-moving objects, and her momentum carried her past me into the podium. The microphone squealed with feedback. Let's not be hasty, someone else called out. Rita from 4F, the woman who ran the neighborhood watch program with the intensity of a military operation. If there's a security concern in our building, we should all be aware. It's not a security concern, Fallon snapped, her presidential composure completely gone. It's a privacy violation. Privacy violation? I raised an eyebrow. These are outdoor cameras, common areas. Technically, anyone could install security equipment facing shared spaces. I checked the HOA bylaws. Because of course I had. I want to see the rest, Rita announced. If someone's been compromising our building's security, it's not about security. Fallon's voice hit a pitch that probably scared dogs in a 3-mile radius. But by then, half the room was murmuring. Phones were out. People were leaning forward. I clicked thumbnail 3. May 21st, 3:15 p.m. Graham climbing over the fence between our patios. The solar panel light camera had caught it perfectly. The way he looked around first to see if anyone was watching, the slightly awkward scramble over the top, the way Fallon's back door opened before he even knocked. Someone in the audience actually gasped. Is that Graham? Margaret Stage whispered to her neighbor. Graham, who'd been sitting frozen in his seat, stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous. Pearl, what are you doing? Trying to show my landscaping presentation, I said innocently. But I seem to have the wrong files. So weird how technology works sometimes. He started moving toward the exit, the side door near the back. Bill Morrison stepped in front of it. For a 72-year-old retired accountant, he moved with impressive speed. I think, Bill said quietly, everyone here deserves an explanation before anyone leaves. I don't owe anyone anything, Graham shot back. Actually, Rita stood up, pulling out a printed copy of something. According to Section 7 of our Community Conduct Standards, behaviors that compromise the integrity and harmony of our residential community are subject to review by the full assembly. I move that we review all available evidence. God bless Rita and her terrifying organizational skills. Seconded, called out at least 5 people simultaneously. Fallon tried once more to reach the laptop. I picked it up, held it against my chest like a protective mother with her infant. You can't do this, she hissed at me, finally dropping the Presidential Act entirely. This is harassment. Harassment? I tilted my head. I'm confused. Are you saying these videos are fabricated? Because that's a serious accusation. I mean, if someone edited fake videos to make it look like... They're not fake, she interrupted. The room went completely silent again. So you're confirming, Bill Morrison said, still blocking the door, that these videos accurately depict you and Graham. He checked his resident directory. Who is married to Pearl, Unit 4B, engaging in... What exactly? Fallon's face had gone from pink to red to an alarming shade of purple. That's none of your business. I disagree. said the young woman from 3D, looking up from her phone. I've already sent video 4 to my group chat. It's definitely your business when it's happening in our building. Video 4. I hadn't even played that one yet, but I knew what it showed. Graham and Fallon on her patio on May 28th. His hand was on her face. Very romantic. Very much not with his wife. How many videos are there? Someone asked. 9, I answered. Collected over 6 weeks. All during my work shifts at Abbott Northwestern. I'm an ER nurse, so I work Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12-hour shifts. Very consistent schedule. I emphasized the word consistent while looking directly at Graham. His jaw was clenched so tight I was surprised his teeth didn't shatter. We're leaving. Fallon, let's go. I don't think so, Bill said, still planted in front of that exit like a senior citizen bouncer. We have 32 more minutes in this scheduled assembly. You can stay for those 32 minutes. The room was buzzing now. Whispered conversations, phones out, people typing frantically. Our building's group chat was probably exploding. The Facebook group was definitely on fire. Graham tried the front entrance instead. But the Johnsons' twin boys, high school wrestlers, both of them, had somehow positioned themselves there. Not blocking exactly, just standing, taking up space. Please proceed with the remaining evidence, Rita said formally, like we were in court. I looked at Fallon. She looked like she wanted to evaporate. I looked at Graham. He looked like he wanted to flip the table. I looked at the room full of neighbors, people we'd lived next to for years, shared hallways with, made small talk with in the mailroom. Actually, I said, closing the laptop gently, I think we've seen enough. The point has been made. Rita looked disappointed. Several others groaned. However, I continued, these files will remain available. You know, in case anyone needs them for reference. Graham finally made it to a door, the emergency exit in the back corner. The alarm didn't go off because someone had disabled it for the meeting. He burst through it like the building was on fire. Fallon grabbed her laptop from my hands and ran after him. Well, she tried to run. Hard to run with dignity when 73 families are staring at you with a mixture of horror and fascination. The door slammed behind her. For exactly 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then the room exploded into conversation. The thing about suburban condo complexes is that they're essentially small towns with elevators. Everyone knows everyone. Privacy is a polite fiction we maintain, and gossip travels faster than the internet. By the time I walked back to Unit 4B, approximately 30 minutes after Fallon's dramatic exit, having stayed to answer questions and endure approximately 47 variations of, "Oh my God, Pearl, are you okay?" Our building's group chat had 487 unread messages. I sat on my couch, the same couch where Graham and I used to watch Vikings games on Sundays, and scrolled through the chaos. Rita had posted, Emergency HOA board meeting requested for Monday, June 10th, 7 p.m. Agenda, Community Conduct Violations and Events Committee Restructuring. Margaret wrote, I always thought something was off about those two. Pearl, honey, you deserve so much better. The tech bros from 3D contributed, Yo, that was wild. Respect for the power move, Pearl. Someone had already created a poll. Should Fallon resign from Events Committee? Current results. 94% yes, 6% abstain, 0% no. The Johnsons posted, We've taught our boys that character matters. Today they learned what integrity looks like. Thank you, Pearl. Even Bill Morrison weighed in. The bylaws are clear. Article 12, Section 3. Board members serve at the pleasure of the community and must maintain conduct befitting their position. My phone buzzed with a direct text. Unknown number. This is Rita from 4F. I'm coordinating a support network. 5 of us want to recommend divorce attorneys. Also, my friend's husband is a personal trainer if you want his number for your new chapter. Just say the word. I stared at that message for a solid minute, then laughed until I cried. Graham didn't come home Saturday night, or Sunday morning. Around noon on Sunday, I changed the locks, called a locksmith, paid the emergency weekend fee, and had new deadbolts installed within 90 minutes. Then I changed the Wi-Fi password. Petty? Absolutely. Satisfying? Beyond measure. Graham showed up Sunday evening at 6:47 p.m. I know the exact time because I watched him on the Ring doorbell, the one he'd installed himself, as he tried his key 3 times before realizing it didn't work. He rang the doorbell, I answered through the speaker. "Pearl, let me in. We need to talk." "Do we?" I asked, my voice crystal clear through the intercom. "This is my house too. You can't lock me out." Actually, my attorney Michelle Brennan advised me Friday afternoon that I have every right to remain in my home during separation proceedings. If you want access, you're welcome to get a court order. Until then, these are my locks. The doorbell camera showed his face perfectly. That specific expression when someone realizes they've been outplayed. "You planned this," he said. "I documented this. There's a difference. You want your clothes? I'll have them packed by Tuesday. You can pick them up from the lobby." "Pearl?" I ended the call and turned off the doorbell's speaker function. He stood there for another 5 minutes before finally leaving. I watched him walk to his car, get in, and drive away. Probably to Fallon's place. Except Monday morning, I learned something interesting. The woman from 2A, Jessica, worked in real estate, knocked on my door with coffee and sympathy. "Thought you might need this," she said, handing me a Starbucks cup. Also, professional curiosity. I noticed Fallon listed her unit for sale this morning, like 7 a.m. this morning. Called her agent at midnight last night, apparently. I blinked. "She's selling?" Asking $389,000, which is about 30 grand under market value for a 2-bedroom in this complex. She wants out fast. By Monday afternoon, 3 different families had toured Fallon's unit. By Tuesday, she had an offer. By Wednesday, she'd accepted it. I ran into her exactly once during this time. Wednesday morning, 6:15 a.m. I was leaving for an early shift. She was coming back from walking that borrowed golden retriever. Apparently, she'd committed to the bit even in her final days here. We stood in the hallway. Her door. My door. 10 feet of carpeted corridor between us. "You destroyed my life," she said quietly. I adjusted my scrubs, my nursing badge clipped to the pocket. "No. I documented your choices. You destroyed your own life. I just provided the visual aids. Everyone hates me now. Everyone knows you now. There's a difference." She looked like she wanted to say more. Instead, she went into her unit and closed the door. That was the last conversation we ever had. Graham tried calling 17 times that week. I blocked his number on Tuesday. He tried emailing. I set up an auto-filter sending everything to a folder labeled Evidence for Attorney. The emergency HOA meeting on Monday night was standing room only. 73 families sent representatives. Some sent both spouses. The Johnsons brought their twins again, probably as a learning experience about consequences. Rita ran the meeting with the efficiency of a Fortune 500 CEO. First order of business. Fallon's resignation from the events committee, effective immediately. Everyone voted in favor. 0 opposition. Second order of business. Election of new events committee chair. Margaret stood up. "I nominate Pearl." I choked on my water. "What?" "She clearly knows how to organize a presentation," someone called from the back. Pretty sure it was one of the tech bros. "She demonstrated strong planning capabilities," Bill Morrison added. "And follow-through." Rita nodded approvingly. The vote was unanimous. Literally, unanimous. I became events committee president by acclamation, which felt like the universe had developed a wicked sense of irony. Thursday afternoon, I was leaving for my shift when I found a package outside my door. Inside, 3 bottles of wine and a card signed by 12 different neighbors. The message read, "For the woman who proved that living well is the best revenge. Can't wait for the summer barbecue. We trust your judgment on entertainment." That Saturday, 1 week after the assembly, I attended my first official events committee meeting. 6 people showed up. Rita, Margaret, Bill Morrison, Jessica from 2A, the tech bros from 3D, and Mrs. Patterson from 1F, who'd been on the committee since 2008. "First item," Mrs. Patterson said, adjusting her glasses. "Summer barbecue theme. Fallon had suggested backyard paradise. Any alternate proposals?" I thought about Graham trying his old key in the new locks, about Fallon's realtor sign going up, about the group chat messages of support, about the neighbors who'd become allies. "How about new beginnings?" I suggested. "Perfect," Rita said. "All in favor?" Unanimous again. "Also," Bill Morrison added, checking his notes, "we'll need a new projector setup for future presentations. The old one worked a little too well, apparently." The whole committee laughed. That night, Graham sent one final email that made it through before I updated my filters. I never meant to hurt you. Can we please talk? I read it twice. Then I opened our shared calendar, the one we'd maintained for 11 years of marriage, coordinating work schedules and grocery runs and oil changes and all the mundane details of a life together. I deleted his access with a single click. Then I typed a response. Talk to my attorney. Her name is Michelle Brennan. She's expecting your call. I hit send, blocked his email permanently, and opened my laptop to start planning the summer barbecue. After all, I had a community event to organize, and a reputation for memorable presentations to uphold. 3 months later, I stood in front of a projector again. Same community center. Same 120-inch screen. Different presentation entirely. The summer barbecue planning committee had gathered to finalize details. The theme, New Beginnings, had inspired some genuinely creative ideas. Someone suggested we include a raffle. Rita proposed a volleyball tournament. The tech bros from 3D wanted to set up a sound system for music. And for entertainment, Margaret said, grinning at me. Should we include a slideshow? The entire room burst out laughing. Absolutely not, I said, fighting my own smile. I think we've had enough memorable presentations for 1 year. The divorce was finalized in August. Graham didn't contest anything, probably because his attorney explained that fighting a case where video evidence had already gone viral in a community of 73 families was professional suicide. Michelle Brennan, my attorney, who turned out to be worth every penny, got me the condo, the car, and a settlement that made Graham's face go pale when he signed the papers. We met exactly once during the proceedings, in Michelle's office for the final signatures. I'm sorry, he said as he handed back the pen. For what it's worth. I looked at him. This man I'd spent 11 years with, who I'd loved, who I'd built a life with, and felt absolutely nothing. It's worth very little, I said. But thank you for the apology and the house. He moved to St. Paul, different suburb, different life. I heard through the building gossip network that he was dating someone new. Good for him. I genuinely didn't care. Fallon closed on her unit in July. The new owners were a nice couple from Chicago with an actual golden retriever. A real one, not borrowed. They introduced themselves at the mailboxes, asked about the neighborhood, seemed pleasant. I didn't mention the previous owner. They'd find out eventually. Suburban condo complexes don't keep secrets. I ran into Fallon one last time on moving day. She was loading boxes into a U-Haul, looking exhausted and significantly less presidential. Our eyes met across the parking lot. She didn't wave. Neither did I. Some distances don't require closure. The summer barbecue happened on September 7th. Perfect weather. 78 degrees, sunny, light breeze. The volleyball tournament was a huge success. The raffle raised $800 for the building's reserve fund, and the food was spectacular because apparently half the complex had decided to show off their grilling skills. I spent most of the afternoon manning the check-in table, greeting families, making small talk. Normal things. Boring things. Gloriously boring things. Around sunset, Rita brought me a plate of food and a beer. You did good, she said, gesturing at the party around us. This is the best turnout we've had in years. People like free food and gossip, I shrugged. I just provided the venue. You provided a lot more than that. She clinked her beer against mine. You showed this community what backbone looks like. I thought about that. About the 6 weeks of silent investigation. About the USB drive. About standing in front of 73 families and refusing to be ashamed of someone else's choices. I just got tired of being the only person who didn't know the truth, I said finally. Rita nodded. That's fair. But you know what? You didn't just expose them. You showed everyone here that it's okay to demand better. To expect better. That's leadership. Leadership. From the woman who once spent 11 years picking up after a man who couldn't differentiate recycling from trash. The universe really does have a sense of humor. That night, after the barbecue ended and the cleanup was finished, I went back to my condo. My condo now, no shared pronouns necessary, and sat on the balcony. The same balcony where Graham used to grill steaks on Saturdays, where we'd drink coffee and discuss our weeks. I didn't miss him. That was the surprising part. I missed the idea of him maybe, the partnership I'd thought we had, but the actual person? The man who'd spent 6 weeks climbing fences and lying about recycling? No, I didn't miss that at all. My phone buzzed. Text from one of the ER nurses at Abbott Northwestern. Night shift is chaos. Wish you were here instead of whatever other Pearl is covering. I smiled. Work continued. Life continued. The world kept spinning regardless of suburban drama and failed marriages. In September, the events committee voted to make me permanent chair. I accepted on one condition: no more PowerPoint presentations at assemblies unless absolutely necessary. Everyone agreed immediately. Looking back, people ask if I regret how I handled it, if I'd do anything differently, if the public exposure was too harsh. My answer is always the same. I don't regret truth. I regret wasted time. I regret ignoring red flags. I regret 11 years with someone who thought I was too busy saving lives to notice him destroying ours. But that USB drive? That assembly? That moment when 73 families saw exactly who they'd been living next to? No regrets whatsoever. The next quarterly assembly is in December. Rita's already joking about whether I'll bring visual aids. Margaret suggested I present the budget report with theatrical flair. I'm planning something much more boring, a normal meeting with normal updates and absolutely zero drama. But I'm keeping those security cameras running, just in case someone else decides my recycling schedule is particularly fascinating.